Today I'm going to do some short ribs, braised short ribs, and I'm going to have fun doing that, and I hope you have fun and learn a thing or two along the way. They're very easy to prepare, and they're very, very tasty. It takes a bit of time. I'm going to be cooking these about 2.5 hours, and these, when I say these, that's these good-looking things here. Very well marbled, of course, and a lot of times short ribs are too fatty, and I won't purchase them if they're too fatty. But these are really nice and lean, if you can see that, I hope. And I'm going to be searing these, as in on all sides, including the ends and the sides and the flat part and the bone and all that stuff as well, okay? Searing them as in making them brown, nice and brown, before I add my onions and my gravy that I'm going to simmer them in the oven for about that 2.5 hour time that I mentioned. So this paper towel that I'm holding up and dangling in front of you here has been dampened or wet, if you will, so as to lay it on my counter here, okay? And I do that because once I do that, wet that, dampen it, take my cutting board and put it on top of there. The cutting board won't move, it won't slip and slide around on you. Take that, and then what I'm going to use today in these beautiful short ribs, only a cook would call a piece of meat beautiful, but anyway, I'm going to be using onions. I'll take some onions and dice them up. I've already sliced them. And I'm going to serve some carrots on the side. I purchased these today. They're baby cut carrots. Really nice. They're nice and clean already. All you do is heat them up and cook them, hopefully al dente, to serve along with this particular meal. I'm going to be using some chicken stock as well. Excuse me, beef stock as well. And I only had the chicken in my head because if you didn't have beef stock, you could certainly use chicken stock. I'm going to be using just a tad of minced garlic as well, not too much, but I'll be showing you that in the ingredient process as well. Certainly some salt. I'll be using a little bit of tomato paste in my gravy, or you might call it sauce as well, and some black pepper, and a little garlic salt I'll be using in this as well, okay? If I'm going fast, guys, I will have these ingredient lists listed for you as well. I also will be using a little bit of kitchen bouquet, yes, to brown for my brown gravy, just to get it to a color that I want it at on these short ribs, okay? Obviously I'm going to use flour. This is all-purpose flour that I'll be using to thicken my gravy. Again, I'll be with you throughout that whole process as I put this stuff together. So the first thing I'm going to do is just what I said earlier. I'm going to sear these. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start seasoning these up. A little salt and pepper, put a little garlic salt on them as well, as I indicated earlier. And I'm going to use just enough oil, maybe to about that much, maybe about 1/4 of a cup, to start searing my short ribs. I think what I'll do first, though, I'll season them. I hope you can see this. Yes, you can see it, I think. I'm just going to season them. Actually, this is the same roasting pan I'm going to put them in as I roast them off in the oven, or as I get them braised here. And I'm doing each one individually as I turn them, as you can see here. And it might look like I'm putting too much salt on, but I'm just sprinkling salt to taste on each one of them. My pan's getting hot underneath my arm here, and that's a good thing. You want that pan hot. Not too hot, it can get too hot, and you don't want to get it too hot. You want it to get hot so it'll sear this meat. All right, and a little pepper on each one of them. And you guys can still see that. Pepper on each one of them. Alright, let's just give them a little flavor. It'll be getting more flavor when I use my stock and stuff in there as well. And again, just a little garlic salt. We'll do it here too. Just a little bit, just to taste. Again, I won't turn them over and over and over with the garlic salt. I'll just do some garlic salt on them. Now I'm going to put the meat. Now here's what I've got for my oil. You'll be able to see that. And just in that corner, you can see it, if you can see it floating around here. So, all right. So we're going to start to sear these. Here to sear. And turn the oven up, my range up a little higher, closer to high. And as you can see, I'm putting the flat side down first. I could have done it the other way. It doesn't matter, as long as you get each one, and you'll see that as I start to twist and turn them in the pan here as they start to brown. And I'll show you the brownness as well. Again, this is really simple. Sometimes when I'm doing these demos, I'm talking more than I can just get it done. But I'm having fun doing this. I hope you guys are having fun and learning something as well. I'm going to kick it up just a little bit, even closer to high. So the burner's pretty much on high now, as you can probably see that, okay? So, again, it's starting to brown nicely there. You see that? Starting to sear. Starting to sear. And these are going to be really, really, really good. And there's lots of things you can do with short ribs, lots of different methods you can cook them at and all that stuff. The key is to cook them long enough to, these will probably be about falling off the bone, and you kind of want that. But these things here, you can almost cut them with a knife, or a butter knife, I should say, when they finish cooking. So again, they're browning quite nicely. And again, I only use that much oil to start browning these things. And I say that because they do have a lot of fat marbling in them, and a lot of that's going to be rendered off as they're cooking. A lot of it's going to be rendered off in that process, and of course that adds more fat to the skillet as I'm cooking them or browning them off here as well. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here for the next probably 15 minutes to get them all the way I want them before I put them back in the pan and then get my gravy made, and I'll give you a piece of that action as I'm doing that process as well. All right, and here are the ones that are currently already seared. I think you can see that. Okay, and I've still got these searing, and they're doing quite nicely. And the next step, obviously, as I said, I'm going to dice up my onions. My onions are going to go in here, and I might put a sprig of rosemary and some thyme in here as well, maybe. But the next step is, of course, with the dripping that's in here, I'm going to make a gravy with my all-purpose flour, as I indicated earlier. And these are just about ready for me to transfer from here to the pan and then keep the process moving. Here are my onions. They're already peeled. So here's how I recommend you slice and or dice your onions. I cut the onion in half. These are just onions, sweet onions. They go like this, and I want these fairly thick, so I can even do it thin, and I'm kind of stumbling with it because you can get as fine, almost mince, just by doing that. Okay, you don't have to go like this and keep turning the onion here, there, and there, and all that sort of stuff. So here we go without talking, because I got to get these in the oven. So I'm going to do that like that first. And I did them all the same way. And again, these are going to go in my seared short rib pan. And then I'm going to make my gravy, and you'll come along with me on that journey. And I'm going to get these all done. And I did not touch this cutting board with that raw meat. Had I done so, I would have washed the cutting board. Just so you know, and so you know you do the same thing, because you would cross-contaminate, and you don't want to do that. Absolutely not want to do that. So these are done. I'm done, and they're fairly, not just diced, but that's how I want them. I want them about right here, just like that, okay? Pieces like that. All right, so that's going to hang out for a minute until I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll dump them on top of the short rib, spread them all over, like such. And they fall down in between, so no big deal. You'll see that in a bit too. All right. Okay guys, so I'm going to go with my flour, and as you see, I got the fat that dripped from the meat, and a little bit I put in there to begin with. I poured just a little bit, an eighth of a cup maybe, off of that. I might still use that. I'm making my roux now with my flour, and this is a cup of flour, and I'm going to use, and that was probably, oh gosh, a half a cup of oil or fat that's in there now. I'm going to need quite a bit of gravy for the short ribs, but I want them covered as I do this. And I'm cooking this flour because this flour is raw and it should be cooked. And that's how we're going to do this process with this flour being cooked. It'll be browning a bit as well as it's cooking. I can see I'll put more fat in there because I need about a 50-50 ratio in order to get this roux like where I want it, okay? And again, I started out with about a cup of flour, and so I got just a little bit in there. But I also need a lot of gravy to cover those short ribs. You might be able to see those on the camera still. I hope you can. Yes, you can, right in front of you there. And again, this is all the flour. This is that entire cup of flour, okay? That's that cup of flour. And it's about where I need it anyway. About where I need it, and I'll show you that in a bit. Here, let me reach back and grab my beef base, which is going to be my liquid. And again, as I said, if you don't have beef base, you can certainly use chicken base. I'm going like mad here because these got to stay in the oven for about 2.5 hours. And we've got company coming over tonight, and I earlier said, guess what we're going to eat? I could have heated that as well, that broth, the liquid, and it would certainly make this come together a lot quicker. But they're like room temperature, so it's not going to be that big a deal. I'm going to pour them both in here, because I think I'll be using both of them. I'm going to fill this pan with gravy, which is then what I hope is going to cover my short ribs. And if I come up short, I'll just have to make a bit more. But I think I'll be okay. You might be able to see this coloring here, maybe. That's what it's looking like, okay? And that's what it's looking like at this point. And again, that was a cup of flour. And maybe about a half a cup of oil. But again, I'll have it precise for you in the ingredient process list. So, I'm going to grab this beef base now and start to turn it down a little bit because I don't want it boiling and splashing back up. So this is one full container to begin with. So I'm going to have to stir vigorously because I don't want this to lump up on me. I'm going to get this in here pretty quick and stir at the same time, as I said, vigorously. And all of that's going to go in here. I'm getting the corners on my pan as well. Making sure I get that. I'm going to reach over and grab another little buddy here and be ready to start adding that slowly to my gravy. And guys, I don't make lumpy gravy, which is why you see my right hand going crazy over here, alright? Because one of the keys is to keep stirring it until you make sure all those lumps are out of it, and there won't be any lumps in it. Now it's starting to thicken more. As I said, this base was room temperature. It's really thickening now. I meant stock, not base. So it's really thickening now. I'm going to start adding this one as I continue to stir. I'm almost out of danger now of it lumping up on me. And I can slow down with the right hand in the movement there. And continue to stir though, as I'm doing here. Because I want it to get thicker and thicker. As I start to add my liquid, I probably will add the rest of this stock, hopefully, so I can get enough to cover the short ribs. This is the objective of this deal here. So, again, I'll pour some more in here. And that's looking pretty good. That's looking very good. Still got a little bit in here. Maybe 3/4 of a cup left in this container yet. But I just want to show you what that looks like right now. As I kick my heat back up. I think you might be able to see that. And again, I'm making sure I'm getting all the flour that was in the crevices of this pan, or in the corner of this pan. Alright. I'm going to start adding my salt and pepper to taste. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Salt. Not too heavy. That beef base got salt in it. Beef stock, I should say. I keep saying beef base. A little bit of garlic salt. Again, to taste. You can see that. Not too much. I put a little garlic, remember, on the short ribs as well. So I can use a little kitchen bouquet for color because I want it to have a robust brownness and or a little bit darker, kind of like blending in with the short rib color, if you understand what I'm saying. So a little bit at a time. If you put way too much in it, you can't take it out unless you keep putting more liquid in it. I'm gonna put a little tomato paste, just for a little acidity in here. Tablespoon. That's about all I'm gonna put in there. Okay. Okay. Now I'll continue to use my little handy whisk here. That's looking good. I said I was going to show you something here, and I'll show you. This gravy is beautiful. Hope you can see that. Beautiful. It's just beautiful. No lumps, no bumps. Just beautiful. Okay? It's getting pretty thick. I'm going to put some more liquid in. There'll be 2 of these containers. And again, this is a large volume because I've got quite a few ribs here. That's looking really, really good. So, and again, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour this gravy over these short ribs. I'm going to cover them. As you can see, I think, yep, they're in the gravy. Herein lies the gravy and the short ribs. You can see the onions in here as well. Wonderful, wonderful. Again, I got to cover this quickly and get it in the oven at 350 degrees. And again, it should be in there for about 2.5 hours, and it should be very, very tender and fall off the bone tender. So while we're waiting for those short ribs to do what they need to do, and I just looked at them a little bit ago, and they're looking very good. What I decided to do, I've got guests coming over, like I indicated earlier, tonight to enjoy those succulent short ribs. And if they don't like carrots, I'm going to introduce them to something else, and that's black-eyed peas. Now you probably took a big gasp when I did this and held this can up, but if you haven't tried this, and I'm not endorsing any products, I could have put some tape over this Bush's thing here. This is a national known brand. But if you haven't tried this, please bear with me for just a moment before you guys start throwing cans at me. And, if you do it like Cooking with Pouncy does, I think you might like them as well. So, what I've done here, again, you can see my bacon here that I've already sliced up and ready to put in my little saucepan here. And I'm going to saute this off along with my onions. I'll let the bacon cook first, get nice and brown and crispy, and then I'll add my diced onions, and the onions will cook in the bacon fat. Right now, and I'll take this bacon and I'll put it in my saucepan, and I'll get that nice and brown. I don't recommend that you add anything else to these peas, okay? Because the peas have already got salt in them. The bacon certainly is salty as well. And the only thing I'm going to add is black pepper. But once you put your peas in there, all you want to do is get them hot, because if they're already cooked, the key to this, to making this thing so close to from scratch, is do not boil them because they're already cooked. Kind of gingerly stir them. Stir the bacon and the onions through the pea process, and they're done. Okay, guys, I'm going to show you this right quick. The bacon's already sauteed. Now I'm going to dice up my onion. Not too much. This is about 1/4 of a medium onion, okay? And I'm just going to put some onion in there for flavor. I say that because I'm trying to tell you that it's diet bacon, but I'm just kidding, okay? So anyway, got my onions in there, and I'm going to kind of stir those and let those onions get translucent. And I'm pouring these in there, the stock and all, juice and all. I'm going to put a little black pepper in there. Just going to put a little dash of pepper, black pepper in there, and that is all you need. Now these are ready to be heated when our guests arrive. I'm going to just put a cover on them and forget about them until those guys get here, and then I will heat them. I will not bring them up to boil like I indicated. I will just heat them to hot and serve them, okay? Okay, guys, 2.5 hours later, we are just about ready to rock and roll here. So what I did was I dished up one of the plates, and this is essentially what the plate is going to look like. Short ribs took exactly 2.5 hours in the oven at 350 degrees, and these are really, really tender. And I just get a gander at that plate, as you can see, and I'll stick a fork in there and show you how tender that is. That's just called fork tender, okay? And so this is the end result that you're trying to accomplish when you do the 350 degrees for 2.5 hours, and that's kind of it. And we thank you so much for watching this video, and please do share this video. And we're going to be having dinner. Our guest just arrived, and I'll set this plate aside and show you the end result of that enormous pan of short ribs that I made. Yes, you can see that as well. And again, I made the gravy prior to. It's got sufficient amount of gravy. The gravy actually covered the meat. Each one of the pieces of meat here, I didn't have to stir it and move it around. I stirred it at least twice in the cooking process. But as you can see, it's extremely tender. Hi there. Thank you for watching my YouTube video, Cooking with Pouncy. And before you leave, please hit the subscribe button, and please share this video with others.